وارحمهما كما.
Hello, welcome to Fix to Parent. I am Monye Christian. Today we'll be discussing what is called the first line of action in parenting. It is worthy to know that the first line of action in parenting is called the first trimester maternity preparatory action plan. First trimester maternity preparatory action plan is a fundamental knowledge that will help you lay a solid foundation for your child's health, behavior, intellectual, and mental performance before birth. Applying this first trimester maternity preparatory action plan will help you predict, secure a child's health, behavior, intellectual, or mental performance before they are born. It teaches a new concept of family planning that curbs parental mistakes and birth disorder that can leave a permanent defect on the child. It is a parenting secret every couple, pregnant and nursing mothers must know. It is unfortunate to mention that critical birth disorders like autism, which is becoming popular now, foetus origin of adult disease, chromosomal disorder, attention deficit syndrome, dyslexia, and more that we see among children today happen within the first 4 months of conception. Let me explain something that might interest you. Please understand that the brain is the first organ that develops in the embryo. This means the brain is the first thing that develops as the fetus. That first thing you see when you go for ultrasound scan. After the brain, the next organ to develop is the spinal cord. The brain first, then the spinal cord. This is important because as a parent that don't know the right intervention or precautionary measures within the first trimester for normal brain formation and development, the chances you will create a problem for your child before they are born are high. Of course, I know we are all familiar with the image of the fetus growing in the womb. Of course, this is often the interest of pregnant mothers. The main thing pregnant women usually want to see when they go for ultrasound scan is my baby moving? They are mainly interested in the physical movement and the growth of the baby in the womb. But there is another highly significant area of growth, invisible to the ordinary eye, that couples neglect. Unfortunately, it is what determines what the future holds. That is the brain formation and brain development of the child. Let me show you here the developmental growth processes involved in the fetus in the first trimester. First is the brain formation. The second is the brain development. And the third is the physical growth. If the right or special care and attention is not given, the brain formation and development would be affected. Note, the brain formation, development, and physical growth require 2 nutritional approaches, which I will point out. There are special nutritional requirements that have been found for normal brain formation and development, aside many others. One is omega-3 fatty acid, folic acid, B group vitamins, special proteins, and mineral nutrients. For the want of time, let me just build our conversation around folic acid and B group vitamins and their role in the first trimester maternity action plan. Folic acid and B group vitamins are nutrients needed during pregnancy, especially the first trimester. Folic acid play a role in the process of cell division and contribute to maternal tissue growth during pregnancy, while vitamin B2, vitamin B6, vitamin B12 contributes to the normal red blood cell formation. Folic acid intake increases the maternal folic status. Note that low maternal folic status is a risk factor in the development of neurotube defects. That is the brain and the spinal cord defect in the developing fetus. Here is the big deal I want you to go home with. If you don't learn anything from this episode, please get this. This is actually where the problems like autism, fetus origin of adult disease, attention deficit syndrome, and dyslexia are created for a child before birth. Let's just see the breakdown, the consequences of this mistake and birth disorders using attention deficit syndrome, which has been found to be the bedrock of stubbornness, poor reading culture, memory loss, forgetfulness. If we look at the symptom of attention deficit syndrome, many of you parents might need to apologize to your children. For the want of time, we might not go there. On the second thought, let's quickly see the symptoms that show that a child has been affected by attention deficit syndrome, established by American Psychiatric Association. The first is does not pay attention to details or make careless mistakes. The second one is has troubles paying attention or difficulty in concentrating. The third one is does not seem to listen when spoken to. While the fourth one is having difficulty in organizing tasks and activity. The fifth is avoid or dislike any tasks requiring sustained mental effort. The sixth one is easily distracted. The seventh one is often forget daily given tasks like assignment or errands. The seventh one is leave his or her seat at the time when remaining seated is necessary. The eighth one is feel restless as the child inappropriately run about or climb excessively. The ninth one is have difficulty in taking part in leisure activities or quiet time. The 10th one is on the go or act as if driven. The 11th one is talk excessively, while the 12th one is blot out answers before questions are even completed. 13th one is inability to start or finish a project, while the 14th one is often procrastinating things related to mental work or academic work. Then the 16th one is difficulty in waiting for his or her turn, while the last one is often grow impatient easily. These are some of the things we complain about our children and even blame and punish them for, without realizing that we caused the problem in the first place. I know that this symptom of inattentiveness and impulsiveness a child exhibits is beginning to provide the answers to the worst questions asked among parents. Why is my child so stubborn despite all my corrective measures? Why is my child so dull despite my effort to boost his mental ability and academic performance? Why is my child this way I never bargained for? Having seen this, let's go back to where and when these whole problems are created by parents for their child in the first trimester. That is during the neural tube formation. Note, like I noted earlier, low maternal folate status is a risk factor in the development of neural tube defect, which is the brain and the spinal cord defect in the developing fetus. Let's see more details that will help you understand neural tube defect and how it occurs. The development of a child after conception moves from the embryonic period, which is about the first 8 weeks after fertilization, to the fetal period, the remaining part of the gestation. But the first key event of this development is the formation of the neural tube. About 2 weeks after conception, the neural plates, a layer of specialized cells in the embryo, begins to slowly fold over onto itself, eventually forming a U-tube-shaped structure. The tube gradually closes as the edges of the plate fuses together. This process is usually complete by 4 weeks after conception. This neural tube continues to change, eventually becoming the brain and the spinal cord. This developmental process is critical and delicate. When there is low maternal folate status, it will result into a defect during the development of the neural tube in the developing fetus. Note, if there is a defect in the neural tube, that is the inability to form normally, where the brain and the spinal cord develop, it will result into severe mental and physical disorder. This is where the first parental mistake occurs, and the consequences are not usually friendly. If all parents are sensitized about this, it can eradicate critical disability and disorder we are seeing among children today. Today, the sensitization about polio, sickle cells have saved our children from a lot of disabilities and crises in the home. This is what maternity preparatory action plan training can do for us and our nation. If intending couples and parents are adequately sensitized, you can join the sensitization campaign by sharing this video after watching. Usually, we tell parents that this is where parenting begins. It begins from conception. If out of ignorance, parents are not able to meet the special nutritional requirement and observe the precautionary pregnancy care measures, it will affect the normal developmental process of the brain. Note, the first trimester maternity preparatory action plan is a full training course in Christian Parenting International. But I can't exhaust everything in this episode. I just touch a little aspect of it. Note, since the worst parental mistakes are made during conception, pregnancy, and childbirth, I recommend the full training for couples intending to get into the marriage institution or the next childbirth. This is where we will bring this episode to a close. Stay tuned as we bring you more exciting information in the next episode. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode.